Alright, so the last thing I like to do, I like to clean off the Sharpie marks just so that it doesn't bleed through when I put the cover on, and it looks nicer. So this is just standard isopropyl alcohol. I have a bottle specifically for the shop, so I don't mix it up with the stuff in this first aid kit. And just a plain shop rag, and that'll take that off. And the nice thing about it is, as you're going over all those holes, if you miss the burr, the shop rag will catch on it, and then you'll know you got something you have to fix. So there was an old, the old price markings on the back of the shield. They've been there for a long time. So I just soaked the shop rag in the alcohol and let it sit, and that's taken off a fair bit of it. And I'll clean off the rest of it. I just have a Scotch-Brite pad. Comes in sort of a mild in green and a medium coarseness in red. And then I'll just use that to do the final cleaning. That'll get the last of it off. And it'll get off the markings from the foundry of the it'll say 6061 on your aluminum. That's from when the sheet was originally rolled. And I like to get all that off. I do the same thing on the outside as the preparation before gluing on the canvas outside. Now the thing about aluminum is that it will oxidize instantly with contact with air, so you can't get rid of the aluminum oxide. That's that black stuff that comes up when you're handling aluminum. I like to cover it with the canvas, which I'll be showing later in the video. If you want to paint it, the paint will have trouble sticking to that oxide layer. So people will do something called anodizing. You can buy a kit from auto body shops. It's a home anodizing. It's an acid wash, and that acid will react with that aluminum oxide layer to basically create a primer. I've done it before. It works really well. The paint will stick much better than just spraying it even with Tremclad or something. So if you want to go with a painting grid, I would recommend going that way. It just saves you a little maintenance over the time. So you might be wondering if I'm going to be gluing the canvas on anyway. Why do I bother doing this? Well, there's grease and stuff on the outside of the aluminum. I can't get rid of the oxide, but I can get rid of the grease. That'll make it a little bit easier for the contact cement to stick to it. And by going over it with the Scotch-Brite pad, it makes it a little rougher. Sometimes I use a fine sandpaper, and then it makes for a rough surface, which gives the contact cement something to actually grab onto. So it's a little messy, but it's worth it in the long run. So now we're going to get to the actual covering. So this is a piece of heavy cotton. It's actually the scrap from a painter's floor cloth. I had it lying around, but it's a nice heavy cotton, so that works well. Canvas works well too. Now I'm going to use contact cement. This is a name brand from a local leather company. Barge cement works really well as well. Need a pair of scissors, a pencil. This is the handle from an old paintbrush. You could use the handle from a toothbrush. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that later. So what I've done is I've laid out my fabric. I've traced around it with the pencil, giving it a little bit of a margin all the way around, and then cut it. The other thing I've done is I've marked the center at the top and the bottom, and that's going to help lay it out when you actually put it on the shield to make sure that you don't get it crooked. And the thing about contact cement is once it's stuck, and it's a pain in the ass and causes a lot of issues if you have to pull it off. So it's best to get a good lineup when you start, and then you don't have to worry about that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to apply our first coat to the fabric. Sometimes fabric, it really soaks up the contact cement, and sometimes you have to add a second layer to it. So that's why I like to do the fabric first, then the shield, because the aluminum obviously doesn't soak up the cement at all. Then if I need to do a second coat on the fabric, the first coat's dried enough, I can apply the second coat where I need to. So we're going to start. Now this stuff comes with a handy dandy little brush that's already in there. And super stringy. And we're going to start working along. And I'm going to go right to my pencil line and a little over. That way I can make sure that I'm going to have glue right up to the edge of my shield. I don't have to worry about it peeling off. Now, contact cement is really stinky. It's got a lot of chemicals in it. So if you're in a small apartment or something, you might want to work someplace where you can open a window. Fortunately, I've got a good sized house, and I can just work in my basement. So I'm just working my way around the edge here. So you'll notice I'll put my hand on the fabric and I'll brush away from my hand. That puts the fabric in tension. Because if you push on fabric, it can wrinkle up, and then the contact cement that's already on there will stick to itself, and it'll ruin everything you just finished doing. You have to start over. So I'm making sure that the cement's really worked into the fabric, because you want it to soak right through to get a good bond, and it kind of holds the fabric together. It helps stop it from tearing when you're using the shield. So I want to have enough in there that it soaks into the fabric, but not so much that it's actually leaving little globs on the surface, because those little lumps will show through on your shield, and that's just going to make a mess of your finish. So the whole idea is to kind of find a happy medium in between the two. You got lots of time to practice. You'll see I switched to a small paintbrush. The brush that came with the can was about to break off the lid. It's not really designed for doing big areas like this. It's designed for doing little stuff. So a small paintbrush will do just fine. come up to the edge, and I'll go over that pencil line right to the edge of the fabric. I don't want to get too much on the boards because, again, I don't want anything sticking to it while I'm working. So I want to get up past the edge of that line, and then I can be sure that even if I'm a little crooked when I put the fabric on the shield, I'll have some cement under there to catch it. So now I got the first coat on the fabric done. So I'm going to very carefully pick that up because I don't want it sticking to itself. I'm just going to put it off to one side while I work on the shield. So this is the shield blank that I washed off with the alcohol, so it'll have the worst of the grease and the grime, and any dirt buildup is gone. It'll give me a better bonding surface. And just do the same thing. It's a lot easier on the metal because you don't have to worry about it sliding around. But again, I don't want any big globs anywhere you've got a glob, because the cement, when it's dry, doesn't go hard, it's rubbery. So if I've got a little knob of rubbery goo underneath my fabric, one, it's going to stand up higher than the rest of the surface, makes it easier for it to get caught by somebody else's. When it gets hit, it's going to get grabbed. So you get a basket hilt or something into your shield, that thing's sticking up high, it gets caught first, then it's rubbery underneath. That's where you're going to get a tear starting. So if you can avoid that, then it's going to make your shield last that little bit longer. What you can do is you can just kind of move it in the light, and you'll see where there's glue and where there isn't. You'll get a little reflection. Because obviously you're going to want a complete bond surface, because again, any place where it's not, if you don't have glue in a spot, then that's a spot where you can get a tear in your fabric. See how I'm going right past all the holes? The stitching line will go through the canvas, helps hold it down on the edges so it doesn't get pulled. especially when you're putting the Cardor edging on it. Okay, so I've let the glue dry a bit, so it'll feel a little tacky. So I'm looking at this, and I don't see any little white spots where the glue is soaked into the fabric so much it needs a touch-up. So we should be pretty good. Now remember, I marked the center at the top and the center at the bottom. And we've got the same marks on the shield. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the center at the top and the center at the bottom, and I'm going to very carefully drop the shield in place, and I'm going to roll it one way, and that'll pick up the fabric there, and then I'm going to roll it back this way and it picks up the fabric here. Just kind of give it a brush, try to get the wrinkles out. And work from the center out to get the wrinkles to the free edge, and then gone. So once you've done that, this is where we use that paintbrush handle. And what we're going to do is we're going to start just rubbing the fabric all the way along. It'll actually come up a little shiny. And what that's doing is it's pushing all that cement right into the fabric, giving a nice solid bond. And this is probably like the key to getting the fabric to not tear when you're using your shield, because it gives it such a good contact that I hardly ever get tears, and when I do, they're small. So it's kind of tedious. You just kind of work your way along, and you can look at it in the light. You'll see a bit of a shine, so I can see that I've done this part and I haven't done that part. So you just do the whole shield like this. Doesn't matter which direction you go, just make sure you get all of it. See, you got a bit of a bulge there. Just kind of work that out. I've been doing my shields like this for, I don't know, 20 years now. never had a rip more than an inch long, ever. I give full credit, I learned this trick from Duke Edward Beausoleil. He had some amazing kit when he was active. Something I do like to do, I like to fold that fabric edge over. So now that I got the outside done, I'm just going to put a quick layer of contact cement around the inside. Just up to the holes. I started doing this because I started using car door edging as an extra protective layer. And I found that when I put the door edging on, it peeled the canvas back because it fits on pretty tight. So I started doing this just to get around that. I just kind of kept doing it. Let that dry. Trim off the excess fabric. About an inch out. You want it narrow enough that it's going to get caught underneath the leather edging so you don't have a little bit of fabric poking through. See up here in the corner where the fabric's a little short. That's why you cut your fabric oversized so you don't have to worry about missing it. Cut the corner off so I can fold around that corner. See, it'll come ahead a little bit and then work my way back. That's to help get it around that edge, that corner. You end up with a couple little wrinkles, but that's on the inside. Don't care. And there you go. Rub. So it's all nice and there you go. One nicely canvas shield blank.